Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Culture Church podcast. As you can see, we're in a different kind of space right now, so we'd like to kick it off talking about that a little bit. So we are proud to partner with A2D Radio. Shout out to Tom Arnone, great guy. Appreciate you setting this up for us. And so this is how you guys are going to be seeing us from now on. I'm shipping off to play baseball, and we're going to be in different places, but luckily we'll get to continue to do this. So as always, with me is Denari Beard and Adam Holland.
Hey, man. Yeah, I'm super excited to get this started. Super excited to use this new platform. DB, how about you, man?
No, this is really a good opportunity for us because it gives us opportunity to try out new things, but ultimately, it gives us opportunity to bring on more guests throughout the country. So we're excited for that. But also, I wanted to just make sure we want to thank everybody who's been supporting us through our first season, our first 8 episodes. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. All the love and the support we've been getting has been amazing. Continue to reach out, give us all the feedback and encouragement, words of encouragement as well, too. We really appreciate it. So I just want to thank everyone out there, and please keep on going as we continue this into season 2 and more success for Culture Church as well.
Definitely. We definitely want to thank everybody because, without you guys, this move, this jump, this transition would not be possible. And touch on what DB said a little bit, it kind of makes it a little more flexible, gives a little more time, a little more wiggle room to actually, talk to people that aren't able to come into the studio. Obviously, Chooch is going to be away, traveling around. I start work, DB starts travel, stuff like that. So it definitely gives us that ability to kind of, reach out, venture out, and be able to kind of grab people from wherever they need to be. We can kind of work on their time, and it's not like we have a set time in here. We can be here wherever we want. And I just think it's going to be great coming into season 2 that we can just jump on and just grab anybody we want, whether from, being an athlete, from being, a sports person, from being, a politician, whatever it may be. We got a lot of things planned here. And I'm super excited to have, our next guest pop on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And with that, we'd like to introduce our new guest. Everybody get ready to meet Liz Way. We are very excited to have her, and we thank you for coming on.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, and thanks for the little intro video. I look pretty cool there.
Liz, we are truly excited to have you. Thank you so much. For those that don't know, me and Liz went to college together. We went to Rutgers University, where we met some years ago, and I can tell you this right now, we are both very much different. Both very much different, but Liz, definitely tell the fans a little bit about yourself. And like I said, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm excited to do this for you guys. I think, Adam, you were one of my first friends probably at Rutgers, and I'm happy we stayed in touch even after you left or whatever. Adam, you've been like a good friend, a supporter through all this. So I started kind of my fitness journey, I guess, right before I got to college. And I was pretty lost, like most people are. And I just, the first step was just getting in the gym, doing it consistently. I knew I liked it. I didn't necessarily know what I was doing. And then the summer after my freshman year of college, I decided to pursue a certification as a way to make money, learn more, and an Instagram along with that to just kind of hold myself accountable. I was like, if I want to look good, if I want to know information, then the best way to do it is to put it out there so I don't make myself look like a fool. If I'm putting it out there, I got to be confident in myself and what I know. And somewhere over the years that kind of blew up from being a little Rutgers thing and following my friends to what it is today and all the things that have come with it.
That's awesome. And we congratulate you on all the success you've have
Definitely.
in the social media world. I'm sure you're inspiring so many people, which is awesome. So I wanted to kind of go back a little bit to, you talked about consistency a little bit, getting into the gym day after day after day. And that was something that we had and we talked about on one of our earlier pods. So could you go into that a little bit, talking about like how you became consistent? Were there times of like trials and tribulations in being able to be in the gym day after day after day?
Yeah, so I think like most people, it started with me just going to the gym sporadically. I was bored. It was the end of high school. I had played sports my whole life, and that chapter was kind of ending for me. So I was like, what do I do next? Where do I go next? So I had a gym membership, and I would go because I was bored, do the elliptical, whatever, and then fall out of it again because I just didn't. I had other priorities. I started going seriously to the gym as a way to actually like escape my house, which is kind of sad, but it's the truth. Yeah, my parents were going through a divorce. I just like wasn't having a great time. It was my first real like experience with depression, and I didn't really know what was going on. I just knew I didn't want to be home. So I would go to the gym. It was like 5 minutes away, my little YMCA. And that was, yeah, that was about the time that fitness influencers started to pop up, like Whitney Simmons and Steve Cook. So I kind of went, or I started going and realized, one, okay, I don't really love myself and my body right now. I want to look like that girl. How do I look like that girl? And then the more I went, it's just I guess the endorphins that were really released, and just seeing the tiny progress that I made me want to keep going. And I am a very disciplined person. I think I always have been when it comes to work and studying and stuff. So once I sort of viewed it as okay, you're doing this to maintain your progress or take care of your body, it was non-negotiable with me. And I think that's one of the huge reasons why my consistency's never really wavered.
That's great. That's true. That's truly dope. And I think finding a routine, finding a balance, and kind of finding that first footing you got is usually kind of the biggest thing ever. I know that you're, a 9-to-5 gym girl. I know it's kind of something you kind of talk about a little bit on like that. But like, what did you even get your degree in college? And even with that, like, how is your 9-to-5 on day to day, as well as trying to get into, obviously lifting and taking care of everything like that?
Those are great questions. I'm going to give you guys some piping hot tea right now. I have not announced this anywhere, but my last day at my job is actually Thursday.
Oh, wow.
I am not sure where we're going next. We're figuring it out. But I was in the business school. I got my bachelor's in marketing, and I minored in digital communications, which is where I learned how to record and edit podcasts and whatnot. And I spent the past almost 3 years working in marketing, more on the business to business side. I love marketing. I love what I went to school for. I think it's super interesting. It was hard a little bit sometimes, time management wise, fitting in going to work 9 to 5, and then not only just going to the gym, but filming and doing my podcast and making sure my clients were okay. But for me, I guess because I managed it with school, I was like, all right, nothing's going to change. It's again, not negotiable. You have to figure out a way to balance your life and your job, because your health is essential, but making money is also essential. So there are times where I'm tired and I don't do things during the week. Like I don't really go out to that many happy hours, or if my friends want to get dinner during the week, I save it for the weekend, which sometimes like it's lame, but it works for me. It makes me happier in the moment. But I'm kind of transitioning now to freelance marketing and then my personal training stuff as well. So I just filed for my own LLC, and I'm taking thanks. I didn't know how to do it at all. So I had some help. But now I'm doing some freelance stuff, and I'm kind of just taking this opportunity to take a chance with myself. So still working, just differently now.
Okay.
That's good. And I was interested when you said you like lived like to live like the bar, going to the bar and going out like on the weekends. Like, do you think now with everything you got with Lift with Liz, and then also with your daily life right now, also just starting your new business sector as you just talked about, do you think you live like this dual life now? And like, how do you really balance all this now, especially with the Lift with Liz content as well? Especially.
Yeah. That's a really good question. I feel like I've always kind of lived a dual life since it all started, especially just going to Rutgers. It was like party central and going to the bars and going to parties. But then I was online, like also, I've always been able to balance it somewhat well. Like I would go to a party on Friday night, but you'd see me at the gym on Saturday morning. And since graduating, honestly, I don't go out that much anymore, just because my friends are kind of far and I get tired. But I think it's super important to keep those social relationships. And of course, I love my friends, as everybody does. So I do still go to bars. I do still go to parties. It's just kind of more on like my own terms these days, part of growing up. I don't have to drink excessively. I could go home when I want to go home, but I do feel a little bit like a different person in that setting than in the gym. Yeah.
So Liz, let me ask you this. You talked about like how you've kind of transitioned into this life of fitness, where obviously you were on your podcast, you're on Instagram, inspiring many people. So talk to us about like maybe some advice you would have for someone that's starting their fitness journey, or maybe even doing like the other things that you like to do, like starting your podcast, stuff like that. Talk a little bit about like what were the steps that you had to take and like some of the things that you had to kind of get over the hump to like get to where you are now.
Yeah, a lot of it is gaining confidence in yourself. And I feel like the podcast stuff and starting my own podcast, like taking this chance and creating my own business comes a lot from my confidence, which starts in the gym. And it's tied a little bit to mental health as well. One, like my biggest recommendation to people who are looking to get started in the gym, if they're asking me for advice, I'm like, that means you want to learn and you're open to advice. Get a trainer, download a workout plan. Like there's so many $20, $50 workout plans that will just teach you so much about the basics, just structure. I've had so many clients in the past that I've had them for like 2 months or 3 months, and they just want to know what to do and learn the ropes, and then I set them free. That's something that I wish I did in the beginning. I mean, I got there eventually and I learned a lot through my certification, but I spent a lot of time confused and a little bit insecure. Just I don't know what that machine's like, or I don't know if I'm doing that right. And I kind of wish that I just bit the bullet and got a trainer for a little bit in the beginning just to show me the ropes. So I guess that answers the fitness part. As far as everything else, I think it's the one thing that I do before I start any new project is just make sure that there's longevity to it. I'm very much a person where I didn't want to start a million things or have a million interested and then half-ass it or like not finish it, So I always kind of formulate a plan and think to myself, okay, is this something that can last throughout the years, or am I going to give up on this in 4 weeks? And then that kind of weighs my decision.
Okay, yeah. I think we all can kind of share a little similarity in that, where like I always tell them all the time, like my day usually going to start. I know it's going to be a good day if I have a good workout. Or I know like I can get through my day where like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym tonight. Like I know that's like going to kind of motivate me. And I think that first moment of consistency, that first moment of motivation, obviously starts within yourself. Yeah. Like, you said, no one else is going to do the work for you. So I know that like, obviously, yeah, I want to go to the gym at night, but I got to take care of what I got to take care of from, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever like that. And then boom, I got my gym day right ahead of me and I feel amazing. So, I think another thing we can touch on is that, we kind of all coach and train kids, obviously coaches football, baseball and basketball as well. So it's like, obviously you're a trainer, people come to you for advice. People come to you to try to be better, try to craft their own skills in their own body and the lifestyle they want to live. What would you tell somebody that thinks they are trying to achieve or trying to get to this perfect body or this perfect goal or this perfect physique? And for you, at first, did you start with that mindset of like, wow, I got to reach a certain and a perfect physique that I want? And how would you tell somebody about that?
Yeah. So I guess when I started, I was kind of lost. It was more of just like, I want like a lower body like Whitney Simmons, or I want arms like so and so, you know, and there was people that I definitely look forward and was like, I want that. But I learned quickly, and I think a lot of that is due to just the fact that I got my certification only like a year into this whole journey, which really taught me a lot. But I learned quickly that there's no perfect physique, one, and two, a lot of the girls that are on Instagram these days and stuff are bikini competitors or fitness competitors, and I'm not going to look like them unless I put myself through it, and I shouldn't expect to look like them. I never had like a weight goal or like a measurement goal of any sort. Which is kind of like the opposite of what I tell my clients. You know, it's good to have something specific and measurable, but for me, it was just more of like, I want to focus on growing my glutes. I want to focus on growing my delts and just being happy with my progress around the way. Cause you're never going to have a perfect physique. You know, there's going to be days. I'm sure that Whitney Simmons has days where she looks at herself and is like, oh, like my stomach or whatever. So that's one thing I would tell people. And the second one is it takes a lot of time. I didn't really start to feel comfortable and like, or not comfortable, but confident in my skin until like 4 years into my fitness journey. And a lot of it's based on the level that you learn at, your environment, the mistakes that you make, you know. And if I have a client who's like, I want to go through a cut, I'm like, that's great. I just don't want you to go into the expectation that you're going to have like a 6-pack by the end of this first cut. You know, it takes time and it sucks, but it's better to start now and get the results one day than to just give up and never be satisfied.
Absolutely. And there's a really good quote that like we've talked about on the pod at certain points, and like it's something that I think personally, I know a lot of other people do, like it's a good thing to live by. It's like comparison is the thief of joy. And like I think that when it comes to social media is so important to like grow things like what we do, like what you do. But at the same time, I think that's one of the biggest traps to like people starting to compare themselves, like, oh, this person look like you said, this person looks like this person looks like that, when in reality you don't know anything about their journey. That's just the best person, the best version of themselves that they're putting out there. So could you talk a little bit about like how big of like a role and how maybe you're able to navigate through the idea that you need to have some sort of perception for people? Like how do you go about being your most unique and your genuine self when you go about social media and all the other things that you do?
Yeah, one thing that I've kept, and I keep this in my work life too as well, just being in the sales and marketing fields, I always try and be relatable and personable. I hate like the influencers that get online are like, this is a day in my life, and they're like showing themselves getting out of bed. That's not me. That's not realistic. My goal is to just give it to you straight, like how it is. And when I started my fitness account, I started posting my workouts, and it was very like few and far between in the beginning. But that's one thing that I really stuck through, where I was like, you know, like every once in a while I participate in a photo shoot or I get some great photos and I want to post them, and that's my prerogative. But the main point of my page is not to stand there and get likes for looking good. It's more of like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Here's some free advice for you. So just doing that and trying to answer my like DMs and all that kind of stuff, and just never sharing information or products that I don't really like, you know.
That's what makes sense.
You know, Liz, you know, you stated just a little bit ago about you said how it takes a lot of time and consistency, just, you know, training as well. But I think a lot of people who are also interested in about just getting into training as well is just about the bulking and also like macros and all this as well too. So can you just talk a little bit about like the science behind that and just how you go about if you're in the bulking season? As we're in bulking season right now, can you just talk about, like, a little bit about bulking season right now as well?
Sure.
Just talk about behind that, and then talk about the difference between bulking and cutting seasons, so people understand the difference between that two, and then the season and how you approach the season as well.
Absolutely. So bulking essentially is a period where you're eating in a caloric surplus, and the point is to put on sizable muscle mass. Cutting is the exact opposite, where you're in a caloric deficit, And the purpose is to lose fat to then show off that muscle that you built. So whenever I get a new client, I kind of take them through, okay, what's your most important goal? Because 90% of the time they say, I want to lose fat and just like tone up or like gain muscle.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's great. So do I. But they're really, really hard to do at the same time. So what's more important to you right now? Feeling lean or growing a big butt? So normally they'll give me one or the other answer. How it works scientifically, I'm going to try and explain this in the most easy to understand, not biological way. We burn a certain amount of calories every day. If I were to lay horizontal in my bed all day long, I would burn about 1,400 calories. That's my basal metabolic rate. That's the fancy term for it. But I move throughout the day, and obviously exercising helps burn more calories. You burn calories depending on your heart rate. So those are my active calories. Even my active calories would count as I'm getting up and I'm going downstairs to make breakfast, but it's obviously enhanced and heightened the more that you exercise. Those two numbers make up my total daily expenditure. That's how many calories I'm burning a day. Let's just say it's 2,000 for simplicity's sake. A caloric surplus can be anywhere in between like 200 to 500 calories above what you're burning. You don't want to go over 500 because that's when things kind of start to get out of control, fat gain wise. And then on the flip side with a cut, it's anywhere between 200 to 500 less than what you burn in a day. Again, you don't want to go under 500 or over 500 because it falls into the under eating category and can mess up things like your metabolism and your hormones and whatnot. That's why you see a lot of bikini competitors who are eating like 1,100 calories a day, don't get their periods. They're cold all the time. Their hormones are completely out of whack. And I personally do I say I cut for about like 4 to 5 months. My bulk's maybe like 3 to 4 months. And I just gradually go into both and have like a little period of maintenance in between. But the one thing I want to mention is you really don't have to do any of that if you're not comfortable with it. For me, I was like, why am I not losing weight? And it's because I was not eating in a caloric surplus or deficit. And that was my prerogative. But if you just want to go to the gym and be healthy, or like you're satisfied with the way you look physically, you don't have to be in a bulking or cutting phase all the time.
So when you mentioned metabolism as well, and I know metabolism can vary from person to person, like probably all three of us have different metabolisms. So how does that affect kind of like your plan for bulking or cutting with a specific person?
So every person is completely different, and I take into consideration data that they'll give me. So when I first start with the client, they'll fill out like an intake form. They'll tell me what their job is, what their height and weight and gender is. For example, I have one client right now who's an orthopedic surgeon, and I have another client who's she just works in marketing. The surgeon burns a lot more through the day because she does like 15,000 steps at work alone, just running between doing whatever and operating. The girl who does marketing doesn't burn as much naturally because she's sitting in a desk all day. So I look at those things, and then of course, just like asking about their history, like my cousin's someone who's always had a super fast metabolism. And I can kind of tell that by her just because she's naturally very, very lean. Whereas if I'm looking at a client who's like a weight loss client, I kind of know what I'm getting into there as well,
Okay, got you. Yeah. And I think, everybody's going to be different. And I think everybody has to kind of go at their own pace, because in reality, it's not really optimal for somebody that just got into the weight room or just got into lifting and dieting to be like, yeah, I'm gonna try to be like Liz today, and let's do exactly more times than not, you're probably either A, gonna end up hurt, and B, it's just not gonna be suitable for whatever your body mass or composition. Yeah. So I definitely think, obviously someone that is, talk to somebody that actually is knowledgeable and definitely has your best interest at heart. But at the end of the day, be comfortable. Like, I wouldn't want to go into the gym trying to work out like this guy. This is not ideal. First off, it's about a height difference, weight. there's no need for me to be doing that. At the same time, I want to do stuff that, like you said, I want to live a healthy lifestyle. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things and making sure that I am seeing the gains and the maturation process. And with that, what are some key ingredients of a healthy lifestyle, do you think? Whether it's a healthy lifestyle, healthy diet, what are some key ingredients you think, everybody should kind of try to adapt into their own lives?
Yeah, healthy lifestyle definitely includes at least 150 minutes of intentional physical exercise in a week. I go to the gym like 5 days a week, and 5 to 6, like I'm moving 5 to 6 days a week.
Right.
You don't have to move 5 to 6 days a week. That's just, the gym is like 90% of my personality, and I'll die without it. So I'm there 5 to 6 times a week. But if you're getting 150 minutes in of intentional physical exercise, whether it's yoga, walking, running, playing a sport, like you're in a rec league, or weightlifting, whatever makes you happy and is moving is your prerogative. Obviously, there's benefits to resistance training for our bones and our muscles. But a healthy lifestyle also, I think, includes some sort of cardiovascular activity, which is like everybody's least favorite. But it's called cardiovascular exercise because it works our heart, and it's super, super important, especially as we get older, to take care of our heart health, especially in women, because that, like, heart attacks come for you as a woman. So I think that a healthy lifestyle definitely includes that. And I think it also just includes being mindful of what you're eating as far as ingredients, not so much just paying attention to, oh, this says low fat, or like this says 0 sugar, but what are actually the ingredients? But then the last component, I think, is just having a balance. Like there are like 5 to 6 days a week, I'm looking at the ingredients on things that I eat. And then this 7th day, I'm getting chicken tenders after I go to the bar,
I'm getting 5 guys. I'm getting somebody else.
That's crazy. Crazy pause.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually get chicken tenders after I go to the bar. That just came out of my mouth.
Liz, I do have a question, kind of like hopping on that. So you said obviously there's a balance when it comes to everything. I think what perception that people kind of like misconstrue a little bit is that you need to be in the gym like day after day after day on your grind. Like you need to work harder than the next guy, which, like, granted, it's important to work harder than the people around you, but at the same time, you need to take care of your body.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about how important like rest and recovery is in addition, because at the end of the day, like, I don't mean to sound like I'm mansplaining, but we're tearing those muscle fibers and we need to recover for them to grow. So how important is it for you and also your clients to value that rest and recovery?
Yeah, I think that that's like the best way to explain it. First of all, because it's true, but second, because it scares people a little bit into like, oh, okay, like I really need to take a rest day. Unless you're an athlete or you're competing in something, you don't have to perform better than anybody else. You're really only there for yourself, or you should be only there for yourself. What happens when we lift, when we resistance train, is our muscles tear. And that scares a lot of people, but they're very, very tiny, tiny, tiny microscopic tears. And the way that they rebuild and get bigger is by 1, feeding it protein, and 2, allowing it to rest. If I'm constantly working my biceps, say I'm working my biceps every day, I could be eating protein and still adding protein to the muscle, but I'm not giving it a chance to rest. So how are those tiny microscopic tears going to heal? And that's one way that people get large tears, like in their rotator cuff or in their bicep. My dad just tore something in his bicep, and it's probably because 1, he doesn't stretch, 2, he doesn't get enough protein in, and 3, he hits biceps like 4 times a week. But
he knows what he's doing. He doesn't
want to listen. He doesn't want to listen to me. So yeah, rest is super important. I think like one thing that I say to my clients is like, hey, a rest day's hard mentally. It is, but just do something else. Go on a walk, do some yoga, do something light, get like 20 minutes in, and that's make yourself feel better for the day if it's killing you that bad.
Okay.
That's a good point. Yeah, I like that too, Liz, because I didn't even think about like this. Sometimes you do need rest, just because sometimes your body's even telling you need rest, and sometimes you don't know it. So it's really important for you just to think sometimes I just need to relax. So,
Yeah.
so you might chill though. But Liz, this you know, when you talked about the gym and talked about your business and your business marketing major, I was really interested to hear when you talked about your podcast and everything. Just talk about the insight of how you really go about brainstorming about your content, especially on the inside of like for Lift with Liz, and how you create content every day, and how do you have that interaction with you and your viewers as well too. So
Yeah, so a lot of the content for my Instagram is actually pretty mindless just because I've been posting my workouts for years. So as long as I film my workouts, I got content. But I do try and think of inspirational things as far as tips about how I live my lifestyle. A lot of it goes on my story, but I've been trying to post reels lately of like recipes that I'm making that are budget friendly or macro friendly, or things that I wish I knew, or just little reels being like, hey, if you're doing your squats this way, why don't you try it this way instead? So that's part of it. And then I guess the other part of it too is kind of just sadly like following what's popular and what does well, just so Instagram keeps pushing my other stuff out. So every once in a while I throw in those cheesy motivational videos that really have no value at all. But for the most part, I kind of just think to myself, like, all right, what's something that I just learned or something that I wish I knew? Let me put that out there in the most easy to understand, non-scientific way.
Okay, gotcha. I think yeah, I have a funny question for you. So tripods are kind of like a controversial topic, especially in 2023.
Yes.
2024, a lot of, I would say more so a male thing. We get caught sometimes. Ego thing, maybe caught, maybe walking through, whatever like that. Like, how do you operate? How do you go about your workout, your day when you have your tripod set up, or maybe you have to ask somebody to record for you, and somebody walks through, or somebody you can catch them in the video like peeking, or they're like trying to, you need help with that? I'll just come over and do it without you asking. Like, how do you kind of operate and go about that?
Yeah. So luckily now I go to a gym that's like a private, not commercial gym, and most of us have tripods. I'm also very involved. Like, I work for the guy. Like, I'm part of like our little health team. I do a lot for him, so I'm pretty comfortable there. And everybody knows what I'm doing and what I do online. At Rutgers, I definitely was nervous as heck. One, just because I wasn't fully confident in myself. Two, because if you've ever been to the College Ave gym, it's literally packed like sardines. So I didn't want to be that person that just had like my tripod out in everybody's way. But at the same time, through my time at Rutgers, and I went to Crunch like my senior year there, everybody knew what I was doing. They knew that I had a platform. So when they saw the tripod, they didn't at least I didn't really feel judged by it. And if you walked in it, I'm like, where this is ending up. So if you want to walk in it, you're going to end up on the internet. So make sure that you think
you're going to be exposed a little bit. So.
Yeah. And then once I graduated, and before I went to Crunch for a little bit before this gym opened that I go to now, I think at that point I just had enough. I don't know if it was confidence or just I really can't care anymore. Like, I can't be bothered to care. But I was like, I'm going to have my tripod out. It's going to stand up and be like 3 feet tall. If you don't see it, then I don't know what to tell you. But I did try to do it in a way that's not like in everybody's walking space,
Okay, for sure. Respect that. That's a great answer. Great answer.
Thank you. I have to be shamelessly a tripod owner, because that's just tripod's got to stay. So I just got to own it.
That's funny. Liz, but it's thinking about social media. You spoke a lot about social media, and you spoke about, I think we all know now, social media plays a lot of what we see and a lot of perception of what people view now today in life. And especially in fitness as well too. Like you talked about a little bit earlier, how some of your clients come in and like, hey, I want abs in the first day, like, but they don't understand the work about that. So how do you really navigate through all that, just to really let your viewers know, let your audience know, like, it really does take time, consistency as well too, because it's not just one day I look like this.
Yeah, it comes down a lot to keeping it real. I try, and when I take a picture of myself that I'm like, oh, like, I'm so proud of where I'm at right now, I'll go back to the ugly pictures, like the pictures from before I went to the gym. I posted one graphic and I think it's still on my highlights, but it was a picture of me, same pose from like 2017, 18, 19, 2020. Yeah, all throughout the years. And I was the most straightforward thing I could do is say, look at this. This is literally me over the years. This is not a 2-year thing. This is not me showing you from when I was like 16 years old to now because I'm a grown adult, but this is how it happens over the years. And I think just having that show up on people's feed is one, inspiring in a way of like, oh, she made that change. I can make that change.
Yeah.
And two, just a reminder of like, this is how much time was in between, you know? So yeah, I guess that's the answer.
So yeah, no, that's a great point. And going a little deeper into like the whole social media aspect, like from like my perspective as like an athlete, like when once you get some sort of platform, there's always going to be people that are trying to tear you down, trying to criticize you, hate on you. Can you talk a little bit about like what that type of experience has been for you and like kind of how you deal with it?
Yeah. The only thing that bothers me online is when people come for like the knowledge that I have. Like if people are like, she's wrong about protein intake or something, that they're pushing out false information or promoting false information. That's the only thing that bothers me. Honestly, this is kind of sad, but I've dealt with like real life in-person bullies from like high school all the way out through college. I've had some terrible things be said to my face. And for that reason, if whoever online wants to say whatever about me, it really doesn't faze me. And I know that's not like the popular opinion, and on the inside, like it really beats some people down, but I'm like, I don't know these people. I've had much worse said to me by people that I do know. This doesn't and can't bother me if I'm going to continue to be out there, you know. And the way I see it is if you're hating on me and you're enough to comment on it, it's just boosting my engagement. So thank you.
Great point.
That's definitely a great point. I think being comfortable in your own skin as well, definitely, obviously, like I said, it's not an easy thing. It's not a snap of a finger like that. And wow, I'm comfortable in my own skin. Like it takes time. It's going to be a daily process. And, there's a lot of people out there that wake up and live miserable lives. And I'll never forget when, we love bringing up LeBron James. They lost in the finals to the Mavericks. And he basically was like, those same people got to wake up and live their same lives. Basically called a bunch of broke boys. But like in reality, like those same people that probably are, being trolls behind the camera on you or behind the computer on you are probably the same people that probably couldn't even walk a mile, let alone, even do 10 push-ups. So, definitely at the end of the day, sometimes when I see stuff like that, especially a lot of times where I'll be defending Chooch on my burner account on Twitter and stuff like that, I'm like, yo, like, buddy, like, take a selfie right now, please. I promise you probably won't even get a date in 3 years.
Yep.
I try to like keep it low, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. And, it is sad that sometimes people got to resort to those measures and those hurtful things about people. So, I definitely am glad that you're able to kind of walk with grace and walk with beauty in that. And, definitely a lot I hope people strive to do as well.
Yeah. Thanks.
I do have another question. This is just kind of out of the blue of something that I saw the other day.
Okay.
Like for people that are like, for example, my mom, love you, mama. My mom's always wanted to start getting into working out, but she has very limited like movement. She had like an accident a little while ago where she can't like really run or walk and stuff like that at like a high pace for a long time. It's like kind of too much pain and pressure on her. So are there ways like anything from like dumbbell like swing conditioning, stuff like that, for people that may be a little more on the limited side of like body movements, running, stuff like that, that you would suggest to maybe our viewers out there or something?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it like a tad bit vague just because everybody's personal like injury history and limitations are a little bit different, but something is definitely possible in any aspect. My mom deals with like, I don't know what it is, but she got chemo a few years ago, and ever since then her hands have been messed up, and she has like very poor wrist grip. So sometimes the dumbbells like irritate her, and so she uses like weights around her arms instead, or does some body weight stuff, and just finding those modifications. There's a lot that you could do with just resistance bands. People tend to look down on them, but they add resistance just like a dumbbell does.
Right.
So I think just knowing your range of motion, like your limitations, and then trying to move in a way that's going to rehab it rather than keep you stiff is the best way to go. For example, I pulled a muscle in my hip like 2 years ago or whatever when I got into a car accident, and I talked to the guy who owned my gym and was like, I'm assuming I just shouldn't like squat for the next like X amount of months. And he was like, no, I mean, should you do like a barbell back squat? Probably not, but you do want to squat in modification. So that way, when your muscle heals, it doesn't lose the ability to squat, or it doesn't go off track.
That's
So
a great
like a vague answer.
It kind of goes into like the idea of rehabbing all those injuries as well. It's like you can't, like, rest is obviously important, but that can't be the end all be all. You have to be able to make that, whatever it is, body part, like muscle, bone, even, like, you have to make that work the way it worked before too.
Yeah. And that's what, like, rehabbing is so important. If you rest, then the rest of you will rust. I always say, if you rest, you rust.
Yeah, we had a young athlete on here a couple episodes ago, Quincy, and DB was emphasizing basically about, the recovery process, make sure you're hydrated, make sure you do get your rest in.
Yep.
I think a lot of just people in general don't take that into consideration sometimes, where, I know my parents always say, we think we're Superman because, we're young and healthy right now. But at the end of the day, when your body's going to tell you if you're hurting or not. Your body's going to tell you, like you said, you need to sit your behind down and you put it. So I definitely get that. I hope everybody's listening out there. I got a question for you, Liz. You touched on it very minimally in the very beginning of the show, and you talk about your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I think y'all can understand and realize that mental health is one of the most prevalent issues going on, in the world right now, especially, in a younger generation. Obviously Gen Z, Gen X, and millennials. We're dealing with a lot out there, a lot of pressures and a lot of different, aspects of life that, can be tough on people. Coming from an athlete, obviously a young woman, someone who's like, young in their life, their career. You see a lot of athletes nowadays take a step away from the game, whether, a couple athletes are like, it's just too much for me, the pressure too much, it's a lot to handle. And for you, how has this whole process of Lifts with Liz and, becoming into this person you are, how has the gym kind of helped you better your mental health? And when I say, if it wasn't where it is today, from one point, how did you keep going? How did you keep going and moving on and allowing yourself to grow into this individual you want to be?
I say this, and when I say it like very seriously and literally, that I think the gym has actually saved my life. And I think that having my online presence has saved my life in a way of, when there was bouts of me, because depression's kind of a thing, like clinical depression could just come. There's no one has to die. No, like nothing bad has to happen. It just comes when you're not really expecting it. And it's very hard to get out of. And for those that aren't familiar with like the feeling of it, it's basically you're fighting to do anything. You don't want to do anything. The best option in your head is to just always be asleep, so that way your brain turns off. The only thing that really kept me going in those days was knowing that there's other people looking up to me, and other people that are relying on my information. And if I don't go to the gym, then I won't have stuff for these people. And I'm not just letting down myself, but I'm letting down a bunch of other people. And then, of course, once I get to the gym and I'm exercising and stuff, the chemicals being released in my brain makes me feel a little bit better and gives me a distraction in the moment. But having that platform and knowing that other people rely on me, like, got me there in those times.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
I think leaning on your friends, Jeff.
Leaning on your friends.
That was really deep. And I think, like I said, leaning on the people that are closest to you, leaning on people that truly believe in you, and obviously, you believe in them, it definitely can help and go a long way. So
yeah,
I appreciate you sharing that and get a little vulnerable with us, because sometimes people don't want to open up. And, like you said, I think for anybody to kind of better their mental health and better their life, they have to open up to people. And you have to kind of allow people to kind of see you at a low life or a low point, and, for you to build yourself back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And no one's going to understand or be able to help if you don't tell them what they're going through. And if they don't want to help, then they're probably not the right people to be in your life.
That's deep. No, but wait, something else you said, that when you said the gym really saved your life, I think that's really important for all the viewers to hear that, because like they need to figure out like what is something if they're in that state of depression or any other mental ill state of now like what is something that really you hold near and dear to yourself, and what is something that you're really going to help yourself go forward with and help yourself move forward with past getting out of that stage. So like I think that was really important for you just to think about, just to say, because like a lot of people need to find and figure out what is that life-saving thing for them to get out of that stage, because sometimes they don't know, and sometimes you just maybe fell into it and found out like the gym was really something that you really needed in your life. So I think that was really important. That's really deep, because people really need to figure out what it is in their life that they need as well. So just getting off a little bit off the deep end, but I want to talk about you talked earlier about your podcast, and congratulate you too. So like tell us and the viewers a little bit about your podcast as well, because I heard it's dope.
Thanks. So yeah, I love to talk. If you guys couldn't tell, I'm sure Adam knows very well. But I've always been a talker, a bit of an extrovert. I wanted to start my podcast just because I love telling stories. I would like going to work. I work with one of my best friends, and I'll tell her these like I just have such a dramatic, classic like Italian way of telling stories. And she said to me one day like, you got to have your own podcast or something, because you just need a space to speak. And I was like, you know what? I do. So I thought about it for a while, and then I decided to bite the bullet. And the whole intent behind it was there's a lot of fitness influencers out there, but not a lot of fitness influencers who do anything else but be a fitness influencer. So if I could educate you guys in a real way, coming down to, again, just being like relatable, like just being a 20-something-year-old girl. So I wanted to start off talking about things that were important to me, what I'm watching on TV, what music I'm listening to, like things that happen in pop culture, because that's stuff that I care about. And then once I got you and like you're hooked on whatever the heck I'm talking about, then I'll teach you a little something that you ought to know about health and fitness and all that stuff.
That's cool. That's awesome. And it's just kind of like the same way that we kind of rolled into this, is just being able to have a platform to talk about the things that you're passionate about. And like, if you're able to leave a mark on the people around you, then it's an extra bonus. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I went into it and was like, if 5 people listen, it's fun for me to do. But you're never going to get opportunities if you don't go for it. So who knows? Like the biggest podcasts in the world right now wouldn't be the biggest podcast in the world if the people were just like, no one's going to listen anyway. So
I think, and that's kind of how, like you said, Jude said it a year ago, and he was like, I don't even care if we have 2 people, as long as we make an impact on 2 people. That's all that matters. And it really just stems from our passions, what drives us, what wakes us up in the morning, and how we've been able to use our life experiences to kind of push forward, kind of help somebody else push forward if it's not just us. And I definitely have a question that I know you've been waiting for, and talk about your passions. You talked about things that you like and that you like to talk about and hear about. For those out there that don't know, Liz is a humongous Swiftie.
This is a great segue.
She is a Chiefs Swift fan from through and through. I usually see her Twitter, her Instagram. She will talk about Taylor Swift, Jonas Brothers, Taylor Swift again, over and over again. Liz, how was the Super Bowl? How was your Super Bowl party? Your experience? What was your thoughts on that?
I had a great time. First of all, I started to tweet again, like, I don't know, maybe like 2 years ago after taking a huge hiatus. And most of my tweets, I know that you're the only person seeing. So I'm like, this is for Adam in the least.
I definitely.
And then he likes them all. So I know he's seeing them. My Super Bowl was actually really fun though. I was in San Diego. I just got back like yesterday, visiting one of my friends, one of my best friends who moved out there for law school. So we went to one of her friends, like her little classmate's house, and it was just like 15 of us or whatever. I had to explain most of the game of football to her because she just didn't. I'm surprised she even gave a shit to ask. She was just so not about it. But I gotta say, I was never really that nervous. I had a feeling like when it was 10-0, I was like, the Chiefs have done this before. They've come back like this. There's so much time left. I'm not nervous.
Yeah,
I'm not nervous.
Absolutely.
It was a good experience though.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely. I definitely want to say, shout out to the Chiefs, shout out to Dan Williams.
Dan
Dan
That's
Williams,
my guy, man. Grew up with him, family friend. He's the offensive quality control coach.
Oh, nice.
Been with them for, I believe, 5 seasons now. So he now has 3 rings.
3 rings.
3 rings. I mean, that's a good percentage.
Yeah,
That's a good
that's
percentage.
different.
So I definitely get with that. And I mean, I have a legitimate question. It was one of our last questions that I think I know you might have some insight on. I want you to really look at me though. Really look at me.
Okay, I'm ready. Are you gonna ask me if it's scripted?
Oh.
That's it. Well, that's something that we can talk
We're gonna
about.
talk about that. I'll save my question.
Hold that. 1 second. 1 second.
Yeah. You talk about that.
Yeah.
I want to hear that.
Talk about that.
I think the whole scripted thing is bullshit, but I will say something that's weird is the whole numerology thing with Taylor Swift and the number 13.
Yes, Liz,
I don't know. The thing is, I don't buy into the whole Taylor Swift bought the Super Bowl. That's some bullshit. And I think she's just such a good person that's not in her morals. But if you didn't believe in like angel numbers or like numerology beforehand, this was the 13th game she attended, and they threw Patrick Mahomes threw that winning touchdown from the 13-yard line. Shit's just like
it's too much going on.
I have no words for it. So that
It's 9, saying nah.
I'm like, that's not a coincidence. That's someone.
It's too much. Yeah.
I don't think the NFL's writing the script, but I think like someone up there is, and they're like, we got her.
I'm with you.
Nah, I can respect that. I can respect that. We definitely are, I've got some conspiracy theories that we all think about. But now, my real question.
Okay.
Now that I'm actually, we're here. Are Taylor and Trav endgame? I need to know.
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
What do y'all think?
I think part of it is like, first of all, I haven't seen like that sort of like a connection from her in like years. Like,
wow.
Years, probably from like Taylor Lautner days. Like even the Harry Styles thing was like some bullshit.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. I also think that they're both at an age right now where like they're pretty mature. They've been through it. They're like in their early mid 30s. I think that Travis knows what he has to lose.
Yeah.
And I think he's very aware of what he has and everything that he can lose as well. So I think the power is more in her hands, but she seems to be doing great these days. And she seems to be really into this whole, like, I don't know. I love it for her. I think she needed to get away from those skinny British guys.
Hey, that's a great answer. That's a great answer.
I hope they're endgame. I want them to be endgame, please.
I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. I think, she's 5'11", tall. He's 6'4", tall. Kids are going to be, good build, good size. She's a billionaire, I believe, and obviously he makes a load of money. So I really think it definitely works out. They seem to have a genuine connection. They seem to, it definitely could. Some of it be for show, but what celebrity couple isn't for show? So I'm
like, she knows when she's being filmed, and she's an expert at hiding what she wants to hide. But if you've seen her in like Valentine's Day, she's not a good actress, and like she knows she's not a good actress. So like the video clips of her and stuff, and just the genuine like conversations with his mom and stuff. I'm like, this is like, I'm happy for her. They both seem so happy, and he's so great with like, from what I've seen at least, with his like nieces, like Jason's kids, and stuff, that I think they would have a great life together.
Yeah,
seems like he's matured a lot too. Like, I mean,
it seems like him and Jason's a little flip flop recently.
I've been a big Chelsea fan for a long time, and like he's always had the swagger, he's all that, but like that he's kind of getting to that age where he's like, okay, maybe it's time to settle down. Maybe it's time to like stop going party to party, all that stuff. And I love that for him. And
you could hear it the way he talks on like New Heights too. I think there was that one slip when I don't think he shoved Andy Reid, but I think he went to go grab him and just forgot that he's like 6'4" and Andy Reid's old.
He's huge.
But the rage in his face, that was like a glimpse of the old Travis. But for the most part, I think he stopped his shenanigans and handed, like, I think Jason's taken over that crown, which I'm here for. I love it.
Yeah.
And the part also, like, touching on that a little bit, like, we all understand this as athletes, but I think a lot of people don't, is like sometimes the game, especially a Super Bowl, like the emotions get the best of you.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna like you've seen me. I've like punched shit before. Like,
Yeah, I didn't really think twice
You
about
can't-
it, and maybe that's not like right.
yeah.
Everyone else was like, "Oh my god, like this monster," and I was like, I'm pretty sure my dad like used to yell at my brother like that in Pop Warner football. Like, it just
Gotta
didn't
love,
surprise
gotta
me.
love.
And you saw Andy Reid's response to it. He was just like, okay.
Andy Reid like didn't look like he was in any way harmed. or
Right.
shocked. He kind of was just like, glad that's out of your system now. All right, yeah, they were fine. It's just terrible for meme's sake for him.
Yeah.
Not gonna live that one
It'll
down.
be
for
an
long.
everlasting meme.
Yeah, we're gonna be a meme for sure. Gonna be a meme for sure.
Well, Liz, we thank you so much for coming on. We're going to end with the word of the day now. I'll pass that over to you
Oh,
to
sure.
introduce it to your
Definitely,
guests.
definitely. Like first off, give a hand. Hey, everybody, Liz, man.
Thank you. Liz.
Thank you. First
Like
guest
that.
on the new
For
season.
sure, Liz has been great. She gives a lot of gems, a lot of keynotes. And I definitely think she's touched on a lot of important things, whether it's mental health, whether it's living a healthy lifestyle, as well as kind of just being yourself, being able to kind of open up and don't allow what social media tells you to do. Like, just do what makes you happy. And the question I have for you, last question, because I want everybody to answer: what is your favorite muscle to train, and what do you think your strongest muscle is?
My favorite muscle to train lately has been quads.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just the hardest, but the most rewarding, especially because I grew up with like just chicken legs. So when I see like a nice quad pump, it just makes me the happiest. My strongest muscle might also be my quads. I think I sell myself short a lot when it comes to that. Like my quads definitely overpower my hamstrings, but I'm gonna say my quads all around.
Okay, okay. I can take that. I can take that. Good response.
All right.
Good response.
I like that.
Kiwi, what about you?
I think I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with chess.
Okay,
Chess is always fun.
I'm gonna go with chess.
good answer. It's a good answer.
Boys love chest.
Yeah, you gotta go to the chess. You gotta get the chess, and then I think my strongest is I would say some hamstrings, some little bit of hamstrings.
Okay.
Some hamstrings.
Respect.
All right. Look, I throw baseballs all day long. If I get a chance to pump the guns a little bit, I'm doing it anytime.
Respect.
So that's my
Respect.
favorite. That's my favorite. But I'll say my strongest is probably my quads as well. Because I don't know. I just noticed that deadlifting is probably one of my best workouts.
Right,
Like that's where I
right,
can really
okay.
push the weight and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So I guess that would be my strongest in comparison to the others.
Okay, respect. I'm definitely gonna go. I already know my strongest is my legs.
Legs,
Low center of gravity. What they say, thick thighs save lives. I know.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, so definitely
That's right.
any variation of
Science. It's science.
come on, So that's definitely, I would say, my strongest part of my body. My favorite so far recently, I've been seeing a lot on Instagram, stuff like that, has been back. I'm really trying to get my back chiseled and
Yeah.
looking like
I like them all.
you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying my best. But overall, I would say that's probably what I would say my strongest and most favorite thing to do in the gym are. But with that, that definitely wraps the episode. And like I say again, Liz, you want to give you another round of applause.
Okay.
Appreciate you, Liz. Thank you for coming on. For all those watching, make sure you go check out Lifts with Liz on Instagram for any tips, workouts that you might want to pursue. Make sure you check out Liz for any personal training. And then we also like to shout out your podcast as well. So again, thank you so much for coming on. And we'll catch y'all guys next time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks, Liz.